How did you come up with social capital?
Hmm. Yeah, Kevin, thanks. I actually didn't come up with it. The whole concept of social capital, and let me just define what it is, and then talk a little bit about its genesis in our work, how it sort of now is informing the work that we do. Social capital means the value that we get, that I get, or you get from
Mm-hmm.
the friends that you have in your life, right? The relationships that you have in your life. And that value can play out in a couple different ways. For example, one of the ways that that value plays out in our lives is what's called instrumental. And what that means, that's a big word, but what that means is instrumental is when somebody does something for you. And when
Okay.
they do something for you, it actually is not only helpful, but it might even save you money. Let me give an example. If you're living in an apartment and you want to move into a house and you have all your stuff in your apartment, but you need to get your stuff from your apartment to your house, right?
Yeah.
That's a dilemma. It's a life dilemma. And what options do you have? Well, you could call a moving company, and a moving company will come. They'll charge you money, and they'll take all your stuff out of your house or your apartment and move it to your house. Right? And you'll get the task done, and it'll be solved. But social capital and instrumental value is that if you call your buddies, your friends, and you say, "Look, I'm going to get a case of beer and a pizza, and we're going to have a moving party, and I got a truck rented, and will you come on over and help me move?" Right? So your friends say, "Of course," and everybody on this phone call has probably done that, moving from one place to another. You call your
Yeah.
friends and they help you. That's called instrumental value. That's when your friends save you. They help you solve a problem, and they save you. I mean, another example of instrumental value is say you're having trouble with your mom and dad, and you're having a struggle with them. They don't understand you. You want to do something and they don't want you to do it, and so now you could go see a counselor. You can go to community living Oakdale, and you can see the psychologist or whoever the counselor is, and they can help you sort that out. They'll charge you, or at least they'll charge somebody for that.
Mhm.
Or you could call your best buddy and say, "Let's go get a glass of wine. I'm having some real trouble with my mom." And your friend comes and they hold your hand and they talk to you about the issue and they give you some ideas and maybe some suggestions, right? That's instrumental value. Now, there's also your friends, your social capital also gives you emotional value. That is, that you have friends that are going to be there when the chips are down. Like, for example, if you get stuck somewhere, and say you're at a party and you're it's late and you're stuck there. How do you get home? Well, you could call an Uber, or you could call a taxi, and they'll charge you. They'll drive you, from where you're at to where you need to be. Or you could call your buddy, and they'll say, "Yeah, Catherine, I'm going to come over. I'll pick you up. That's no problem. It's no big issue," right? So that's emotional value. Just knowing somebody got your back, somebody is there for you. I mean, every one of us on this call could probably list out a lot of people that we know would be there for us if we got in trouble or if the chips were down. So that's emotional value. And then the last value that social capital does is called informational value, right? And informational value is when your
It's
friends
like
tell you something. What's that?
I think it's like networking.
Yeah. Exactly. Networking is a perfect example of informational value. So you're looking for a job, you go to where your buddies are and you say, I'm looking for a job, and your buddies say, hey, I know there's a job at Community Living Oakdale. And you say, oh, great. You know, you didn't know that, right? That information actually helps you. So now social capital is, it was actually first used in academic writing, and that all the way back to 1916, right? It was a long time ago. A school teacher in West Virginia of the United States basically wrote a paper talking about the success of the kids that were in his, that were in his school. And partially he said that the kids that were most successful after they graduated from school weren't necessarily the smartest kids. They were the kids that developed friendships. Social capital is what he called it. And so since then, since 1916, Catherine, lots of sociologists have been studying it and looking at it. And I bumped into the concept when I was working on my PhD. I was at the university and I was studying. That was in 1980, and I was looking through the literature, and I wanted to just learn more so I could be a better advocate. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I saw these references to social capital in some research that I was doing, and he says, "Oh man, why haven't we thought more about this in our field?" And so after I graduated, I wrote my thesis and graduated, and then started to practice and use this idea of social capital. Started to talk about it. I wrote my first book about it in 1990, and still today, it didn't become really a popular concept, even in the greater community, until Robert Putnam, a Harvard sociologist, started to popularize the notion of social capital in an article he wrote in 1995. The article was called Bowling Alone. And what Putnam started to write about was how society is better when people have friendships, how community is better when people are friends, how people watch out for each other, and how democracy is better because of friends. So that's what social capital is. That's a little bit of the history of it and what it does for us.